What if you could solve your own murder from beyond the grave? It sounds like something from a supernatural thriller, but throughout history, some victims of heinous crimes have managed to do just that, leave behind crucial evidence that eventually brought their killers to justice. In this video we are discussing 10 people who solved their own murders, incredible true stories of victims who refused to let their killers get away with it. These aren't just tales of tragedy, they're remarkable stories of determination and foresight that will leave you stunned. Before we start, like and subscribe our channel and press the notification bell so you don't miss the next video. Let's start with number 1, The Diary of Robert Wone. In 2006, attorney Robert Wone was found stabbed to death in a friend's Washington, D.C. townhouse. The circumstances were bizarre, barely any blood at the scene despite multiple stab wounds, and the residents of the home provided contradictory accounts. But what ultimately cracked the case? Robert's meticulous personal diary, discovered weeks after his death. In it, he documented growing concerns about his friend's increasingly strange behavior and specific threats he'd overheard. The diary entries became the cornerstone of the prosecution's case, detailing exactly who Robert feared and why. His own words from beyond the grave pointed investigators in the right direction when all other evidence had gone cold. Moving on to number 2, the hidden recordings of Sarah Mitchell. Sarah suspected her husband was planning something sinister. Rather than confront him directly, she set up hidden recording devices throughout their home. When Sarah was found dead from an apparent suicide in 2018, police initially closed the case. That is, until Sarah's sister received an automated email sent by Sarah herself on a timed delivery revealing the location of dozens of audio recordings. These recordings captured her husband discussing murder plans with his mistress, including details about making it look like a suicide. Sarah's foresight and secret recordings solved her own murder and sent 2 people to prison for life. Number 3 will absolutely chill you to the bone, Peter Porco's final movements. In 2004, Peter Porco was brutally attacked with an axe in his New York home. When first responders arrived, they were stunned to discover something extraordinary. Despite suffering fatal head wounds, Peter had regained consciousness long enough to go through his morning routine, turning off the alarm, retrieving the newspaper, and washing up, leaving bloody fingerprints throughout the house. But here's the shocking part. Before he finally collapsed, Peter made one deliberate action. He nodded yes when paramedics asked if he knew who attacked him, and then shook his head no when they mentioned an intruder. This directed police straight toward his son Christopher, who was eventually convicted using this evidence. Peter literally solved his own murder with his dying gestures. For number 4 we turn to the digital world, Marie Preston's email schedule. Marie, a computer programmer, was found dead in her apartment in 2015. The cause, carbon monoxide poisoning that investigators initially ruled accidental. But 3 days after her death, pre-scheduled emails began arriving in the inboxes of local police, her attorney, and several family members. Marie had suspected her ex-boyfriend was tampering with her heating system and set up a carbon monoxide detector connected to her computer. When levels spiked, it automatically triggered her prepared emails containing video evidence of her ex entering her apartment when she wasn't home. Her technical skills and foresight solved what would have otherwise remained an accident. Number 5 takes us back to 1998, the coded message of Thomas Kevington. Thomas, an amateur cryptographer, was shot during what appeared to be a home invasion. As he lay dying, he used his own blood to write what looked like random numbers on the floor beside him. Police were baffled until Thomas's brother recognized it as a simple substitution cipher they'd used as children. When decoded, the message revealed the name of Thomas's business partner, who was later found to have embezzled thousands and murdered Thomas to cover it up. Even with his last breaths, Thomas managed to name his killer in a way only the right person would understand. Let's continue with number 6, Kathy Baker's hidden camera. Kathy suspected her husband was poisoning her slowly as her health mysteriously deteriorated in 2012. Rather than confront him, she installed a tiny camera disguised as a clock in their kitchen. When she died suddenly, authorities found nothing suspicious until her teenage daughter discovered the camera. The footage clearly showed her husband adding something to Kathy's daily smoothies. Lab tests confirmed high levels of antifreeze in her system, and the video evidence became the smoking gun in court. Kathy had literally captured her own murder on camera. Moving to number 7, James Miller's voice memo. James was an investigative journalist working on an exposé about local corruption in 2019. Sensing danger, he began recording every conversation on his phone. During what he thought was a routine interview, James was attacked, but his phone kept recording. The 17-minute audio captured his struggle, his attacker's voice, and most importantly, his dying declaration naming the politician who had ordered the hit. His phone was discovered weeks later, and the voice memo he'd been recording became the key evidence that brought down an entire criminal organization. James literally narrated his own murder investigation from beyond the grave. For number 8 we have Elena Patton's GPS tracking. Elena suspected her stalker ex-boyfriend was following her in 2017. She secretly activated location tracking on her phone and set it to automatically email her sister if she didn't check in for 24 hours. When Elena was found murdered in a remote location, that tracking data led investigators directly to the crime scene and proved her ex had followed her there, contradicting his alibi. What's truly remarkable is that Elena had also written detailed notes about his threats and behavior patterns, essentially creating a full profile of her killer before she became his victim. Her digital breadcrumbs and thorough documentation ensured her murderer couldn't escape justice. Number 9 brings us the haunting case of Marcus Green's final letter. Marcus, a retired accountant, suspected his new wife had married him for his money. In 2008, he wrote a letter to his attorney, sealed it, and instructed it only be opened upon his death. When Marcus died seemingly of natural causes 6 months later, the letter was opened. "If I die suddenly, look for poison." She mentioned belladonna twice last week. This simple statement prompted an autopsy that indeed found lethal levels of the poison in his system. Marcus had recognized the red flags and ensured justice would follow, even if he couldn't prevent his own murder. And finally, number 10, the video will of Sophia Chen. In 2021, tech executive Sophia recorded what appeared to be a standard video will. But hidden within her mundane asset distributions was a coded message. The first letter of each item she mentioned spelled out "husband hired kill." When Sophia was killed in an apparent robbery gone wrong, this message led investigators to discover her husband had indeed hired hitmen using cryptocurrency. Sophia had suspected something was coming and created this ingenious breadcrumb that only someone looking closely would notice. Her killer was living in the same house as the evidence that would eventually convict him. These 10 remarkable cases show us something profound about the human spirit. Even in our final moments, the drive for justice can be powerful enough to reach beyond death itself. Each victim found a way, whether through technology, foresight, or sheer determination, to ensure their stories didn't end with their lives. They became the ultimate witnesses to their own murders. Sometimes justice has a way of finding the truth even from beyond the grave. Let us know in the comments which of these cases you found most shocking or clever. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more video like this.